The reflection for Wednesday the 12th of August, which was written by Ros Loach. The Bible reading is being read by Andy Nicholson and the reflection read by Debbie Nicholson. Matthew chapter 18, starting at verse 15. If another member of the church sins against you, go and point out the fault when the two of you are alone. If the member listens to you, you have gained that one. But if you are not listened to, take one or two others along with you, so that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If the member refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church, and if the offender refuses to listen even to the church, let such a one be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly, I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, truly I tell you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them.
This passage is part of a long talk that Jesus had with his disciples, but there are several things in it which make it difficult to see how it could have originated in that context. First, it suggests in verse 17 that there was a well-organised church at the time. Yet we know that Jesus' contemporary followers worshipped as part of the Jewish community during Jesus' earthly lifetime, and the early church only became a separate group sometime after his resurrection. Secondly, in this passage, also in verse 17, tax collectors and Gentiles are seen as being beyond the pale. Yet we know from elsewhere in the Gospels that Jesus went out of his way to befriend such people, such as Matthew himself and Zacchaeus. Then in this passage it seems that Jesus recommended limiting forgiveness. It speaks of a church where discipline was based on rules and regulations, rather than on love and forgiveness. And again, this is not how we would expect a group of Jesus' followers to behave towards a wayward member. So what are we to make of it? What has it to say to us as 21st century Christians? Well, 2 things stand out clearly. One is about the importance of reconciliation when Christians disagree with one another, whether it be individuals or groups of people. Anyone who has been on the PCC will probably know that sometimes disagreement can lead to ill feeling and soured relationships between church members. So it's important to get it sorted out properly. Meeting together in the context of prayer and being willing to accept our own shortcomings is a well-tried and tested way of doing this. Many of you know that years ago I taught in Malawi in Central Africa. While I was there, I was on the PCC for a short time. There, the approach to decision-making is quite different from ours. Here, it's usual to take a vote, which may result in some people having to accept a decision with which they don't agree. In Malawi, however, a matter is discussed until all those present come to a consensus of opinion, which means that PCC meetings tend to be very long and drawn out. The other matter is about 2 or 3 people coming together in Jesus' name, and him being with them. He is there with them in spirit when they are in agreement with one another and with him. Such gatherings have tremendous strength. If you've ever had a prayer partner, or have been part of a prayer triplet or small prayer group, you will probably know what I mean. I recommend it. The Lord does answer our prayers, even if it's not always how or when we'd like him to. And through our prayer with other Christians, he gives us courage to face the things we couldn't face on our own.